How did you start your writing with the sports?
It started in 5th grade. Our 5th grade nun, Sister Claire Ursula, never forget her, gave us an assignment in class one day. I want all of you students to write an essay about the person you most admire. Like 2 days later, Sister Claire came back into class. She said, I'm going to read one essay that one of your classmates wrote. When she got to the end, she said, this essay was written by Raymond Didinger. And she looked me right in the eye and she said, Mr. Didinger, you should be a writer. It was the first time in my life anybody ever told me I was good at something. And when that happens, it's profound. My contract with WIP is up at the end of May, and I've decided that will be it for me. I'm retiring. Sunday, May 29th will be my final show. I love my life. I grew up wanting to be a writer, and wanting to be involved in sports, and I've seen it all come true. It was great, but even great things run their course, and I've run mine.
When most sports writers retire, they aren't asked to throw out a first pitch. A team owner doesn't release a congratulatory statement. Former coaches the reporter covered and criticized don't send well wishes.
The godfather of Philadelphia, congratulations on a great career.
You're all class, man. Enjoy every minute that you have in retirement.
Didinger's gonna win this
And
fight.
local racehorses aren't named after him.
Didinger wins impressively.
Ray Didinger wasn't your typical member of the media, and a lot happened to him between the time Sister Claire set him on his career path and the day he decided to retire. But one constant in Didinger's life was football. That love affair began for him as a young boy. He'd spend hours in his grandfather's bar, talking football with the patrons. On Sundays, he'd ride the bus with them from the bar to Franklin Field.
Franklin Field in Philadelphia, one of the finest football stadiums in the country.
And sit in section EE, row 24, cheering on his Eagles. And for vacations, his parents took their only child to Hershey to watch Eagles training camp every day for 2 weeks each summer.
This is the old Hershey hockey arena, and in the summertime, the Eagles took over the locker room inside. They all had to come out that door and up these steps off to the practice field. So if you were a 10-year-old autograph seeker, this was prime real estate here. This was where I met Tommy McDonald for the first time.
Little Tommy McDonald, Tommy's brilliant speed and sure hands will pose a constant threat.
I got his autograph, he handed me his helmet, and from here we walked to the practice field, and that was where the story of Tommy and me began.
Must be 100 degrees.
Mr. McDonald, can I have your autograph?
Well, sure, but you gotta walk with me. You won't carry my helmet?
I still remember that moment. I still remember him handing me the helmet. It was brand new. It was just gleaming in the sunshine.
What's your name?
Ray.
I was an altar boy, and so carrying religious stuff was nothing new to me. I had carried holy water for the Archbishop of Philadelphia, but Tommy McDonald's helmet, that was something pretty special. This is where the players stayed, the Hershey Community Center. This was their dormitory, and Tommy usually sat up here, and I sought him out, and I would sit down, and we would just start talking. I had a million questions, stuff I wanted to know. You know, what was it like growing up in Roy, New Mexico? What was it like playing for Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma? What was it like going through college and never losing a game? One night, he put his arm around me and he said, you know, you're like my little brother. From that point on, I was little brother.
This pass is good to Tommy McDonald.
When he kind of put his arm around me, he kind of brought me into the world of pro football. I honestly think that the way my life turned out, it really kind of always started with that relationship. I fell in love with him, I fell in love with the game, I fell in love with the life, and I just decided, you know, this is what I want to do.
Tommy McDonald takes off to make a fantastic diving catch in the end zone.
Every time he scored a touchdown, which he did plenty in those days, all the guys from my grandfather's bar would all turn and say, "That's your boy! That's your boy!" And man, it made me so proud and so happy.
For 7 years, Didinger watched McDonald in the fall and hung out with him in the summer. But in 1964, McDonald was traded to Dallas. Little brother went from a boy carrying his hero's helmet to a man carrying a briefcase. And he went from a die-hard Eagles fan to an objective journalist who covered them.
People think it was a real struggle to have gone from being the kid in Section EE to all of a sudden go to the press box. Not really. I always considered myself a reporter first.
He embarked on a 53-year career in the Philadelphia media. He won numerous awards, authored or co-authored 12 books,
Reality check!
and made a successful transition to radio and television.
Ray is a Philadelphia icon. He's been called the godfather of sports in Philadelphia.
I think he's universally loved. I've never heard a bad thing said about the man.
The city of brotherly love does love Ray Didinger.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And he loves them right back.
You don't want to tick off Ray about certain things. One of them is his hometown. When we had to do an Eagles-Patriots pregame show with our counterparts from Boston, the guy just pushed Ray's button one time too many.
It's the only fan base I'm around where I feel like I might get a metal chair off the back of my head.
You want to tell me about thug fans? The people I saw in Schaefer Stadium, they were the worst in the NFL. But then you started to win, didn't you?
No,
and then everybody got happy. Seriously, look, I have all the respect in the world for Boston fans. I think it's a great sports town. I think in many ways it's very similar to Philadelphia. I think the passion of the fans. But one thing you cannot deny, the people in Boston didn't even know there was a football team in Foxborough until the Patriots started winning.
Good morning, everybody. He is Ray Didinger. I am Glenn Macnow. He filled a unique role in this town as the arbiter of truth, as the voice of wisdom, as everybody's buddy and nobody's fool.
It's been great.
Ray is like a sports therapist in that they have thought in their mind about what the Eagles did. They stunk.
Damn it, we should have won this game.
They did well. The coach blew one. Whatever happened. Let me put on. And if Ray says what I think, I feel great. And if Ray says what I didn't think, it's because Ray's smarter than me.
Thanks for making me smart every Monday.
Well, thank you very much.
When he says what he says and you really look at it, you're like, wow, that's really it.
Do you consider your father old school?
Oh, he built the old school. Here's a guy that doesn't have a cell phone.
Have you ever gone on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram?
No.
Have you heard of TikTok?
Heard of it.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
You're talking about social media. He doesn't know how to use Google. Forever, he's been writing out his notes, and when most people switched over to computer, Ray did not.
That's how I would log the game, and I would log every play. I would log every coverage. I would log every personnel package. And then when came time to the draft, I had the same sort of thing for each individual player.
His house is full of files, and it's on legal pads. He would talk about a player like, I remember the Eagles drafted Barrett Brooks back in the day. Big sheet, divided down the middle, the pros on one side, negatives on the other side.
The yellow legal tablet became kind of a trademark. People would come and give me packages of yellow legal tablets as a Christmas gift.
You're going to have to put down the legal pad, though, and watch the game just like the rest of us.
Mr. Old School never embraced technology, but he still connected with his readers and listeners. Philly fans ate up his words like cheesesteaks and soft pretzels. And he received national recognition when he was inducted into the writers' wing of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. For years, he'd been part of the Hall's selection committee, and he tried unsuccessfully to get Tommy McDonald a bust in Canton.
I really worked at it. And it's not just the fact that he was my boyhood hero and all that kind of stuff. And the fact is he deserved it. When he retired, he was 6th all-time in catches, he was 4th all-time in yards, and he was 2nd all-time in touchdowns. I mean, how did he not go in the Hall of Fame?
Didinger would see McDonald occasionally over the years, but Tommy had no idea that Ray the reporter was little brother, the boy who used to carry his helmet. And Ray decided not to tell him.
So it goes on this timeless cycle of football America. A game that has become a common denominator of uncommon emotion.
In 1996, Didinger began working at NFL Films as a producer, writer, and on-camera talent.
Listen, and you can hear it, growing ever stronger. The unmistakable rhythm of football America.
Close confrontations between players.
Since Didinger was now a league employee, he no longer could be part of the Hall of Fame selection committee. But he still campaigned for McDonald. In 1998, his hard work paid off.
He came to my office one day.
I want you to be my presenter.
You want me to be your presenter at the Hall of Fame?
This is the greatest thing ever.
Tommy, I don't know what to say.
How about yes? How about thank you?
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. I never would have gotten there if it wasn't for you.
But he still doesn't know your little brother at this point.
No. He does not know I'm little brother. He does not know I'm little brother. We didn't have that conversation until we were literally backstage at the Hall of Fame.
Tommy was about to give an acceptance speech unlike any in history. And Ray was trying to talk him out of it, begging him to read a more conventional speech that he had written for his hero.
We're literally seconds away from walking on the stage, and I, in my last desperate attempt to try and convince him not to do what he wanted to do.
I used to wait for you outside the locker room, and you would...
Wait a minute. You were that kid. You carried my helmet.
Every day.
Why the heck didn't you say something all this time we spent together?
I always wanted to believe that he remembered that kid. Whether he knew it was me or not didn't matter.
You really want to do something for me?
Yeah, sure. What?
Take this speech and read it.
I appreciate all you've done for me, but I have to do this my way.
Growing up in Philadelphia, I saw every game Tommy played as an Eagle. They were the best Sundays of my life. Going to Franklin Field, watching number 25 make catches that seemed like something out of a dream.
Does it look like me?
Tommy was still making catches during his speech.
I'm supposed to have good hands.
But the nightmare scenario Ray had envisioned didn't transpire. Fans in Canton embraced McDonald the same way Didinger did 40 years earlier.
And I think you can see the crowd appreciation for his enthusiasm.
Thank you! Canton, I love it!
Thanks, little brother.
It was one of the most emotional hugs of Ray's life. But there'd be another one just as special 20 years later, when Ray and his son both were working at Super Bowl 52.
Before we left for Minneapolis, I said to him, if the Eagles win, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to give you a hug. Because in 1980, when the Phillies won the World Series, I was in the stands as a fan, as a 7-year-old. My dad was working the game in the press box, so I never saw him. In 2008, when the Phillies won the World Series, my dad was in the stands as a fan, and I was in the Phillies dugout working the low first dugout camera. But I wasn't going to let this pass. If the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I was going to find him. I remember when he walked over and he said,
"You want Philly, Philly?"
And I'm thinking to myself, what's Philly, Philly?
Lane! Goes directly to Clement. Clement reverses it, and it is a touchdown by Nick Foles!
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions!
I remember looking over and seeing him. I go, okay, I'm going to find my way up to that concourse, and I'll catch him between a break. Never imagined what it would turn out to be. Never thought that that me and my dad would be trending on Twitter.
Ray turns to me and says, "Mike, are we going to take a break soon?" And I said, I don't know, Ray. Do you need to use the restroom? He said, "No, I just wanted to hug my son." And that was the first time I realized that David was standing in the doorway of the set. Come on, David Didinger right now. There it is, a long time coming. David Didinger, who shoots for, there we go. That's a beautiful thing, a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh my goodness.
I was very uncomfortable about it. I mean, all of that happening on live television. Because up to that point on the post-game show, I had tried to be my usual very cool, objective self, third down percentages and red zone efficiency and all that kind of stuff. I didn't emote in a very public way.
How about this? The Rock shedding some tears over here. I've never seen him even, yeah. Ray did? Yeah, Ray did.
I think that was the first time he was a genuine Eagles fan for the first time in 50 years.
He tried not to be a fan, and he covered it dispassionately like he wasn't a fan, but I always knew that was.
I'm so glad that we got to witness that, because I think a lot of people thought that Ray didn't have that in him.
Being able to share that moment with my son, that was probably about as good as it gets.
You can retire now. He's going out on top.
It took him 4 years and another appropriately titled book before Ray Didinger did retire.
I knew what the outpouring would be. I've seen for 21 years how much people love him. He was surprised at it, which again is part of the beauty is he's just Ray. He doesn't know the impact he has on people.
I was never as aware of it as I was when I retired. And people started sending me cards and letters and emails. They almost all start off the same way. I've never had the chance to meet you, but I feel like I know you. Many of them have made me cry.
He's had a lot of time to reflect since he announced his retirement. And in late May, he learned of the impact he had on even more people.
Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?
Such a big day.
Big day, I suppose.
Did you see your cake?
No, I haven't seen my cake.
Oh my gosh, it's adorable.
This is the Ray Didinger Retirement Show on Sports Radio 94 WIP.
Everyone keeps asking me, oh, who are they going to replace Ray with? I'm like, you don't replace Ray. You kidding me?
He has such an unbelievable knowledge of the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's because he loves the Eagles. Our fans may not know this, but there have been many times that I've called Ray to ask his opinion about things.
There's been no one in the last half century who's affected Philadelphia sports more than Ray.
You get a little choked up with these, Ray. I see it.
Yeah, well, it's a little hard not to.
Yeah, all right. You never know, Ray, who may show up today to wish you the best. Look at that, Ray. Who's in the house?
Oh my God, the Philly fanatic.
The fanatic is here. The fanatic is bowing down, Ray, in respect. Let's see if we can get him on mic. Oh yeah, he doesn't ever have much to say, but the broadcast, he has engulfed Ray's head in his snout.
One of the reasons Didinger retired was to spend more time with his family. After a half-century carrying legal pads around press boxes and studios, he's now able to do just that.
I've never watched an Eagles game with my dad, and I'm 49 years old.
We've been in the same stadium a lot of times, but I've been here and he's been there. But no, I mean, in the way most fathers and sons watch Eagles games, no, we have never had that experience. And I'm really looking forward to it.
It's going to be cool. I just hope he's not taking notes.
Welcome to the 2022 NFL kickoff. What an atmosphere.
You believe he's doing this?
To start it all off.
This is incredible. Like NFL.com, you can see all this stuff pop.
After 50 years of doing this, I don't know any other way to watch a football game. I have to chart the game or else I feel like I'm not watching it, as crazy as that sounds. I don't know what's going to happen when they score a touchdown. If I'm going to actually jump up and cheer, I guess I'll have to see how much of the old emotion comes back.
Under pressure,
oh, they got it. Go.
It was deflected by Kaiser White, and James Bradbury has his first Philadelphia pick, and it's a pick six.
His life has come full circle, in more ways than one. He's once again a proud Eagles fan, no longer an objective journalist.
He absolutely is a fan. You can never take that kid sitting in section EE out of him. That's still in his heart forever.
And earlier this year, he returned to Hershey with his play to fulfill a dream.
But always in the back of my mind was the thought, I would love to bring the Tommy McDonald story back to where it truly began in 1957. Literally steps away from where I met Tommy McDonald for the first time is really pretty remarkable. He's passed now, but I'm so glad that he lived to see it because it really meant a lot to him to see his life story brought to the stage. When we bought this apartment, and I looked out the window, and I saw we had this incredible, unobstructed view of Franklin Field. I mean, it's there every morning when I come into the kitchen. It's there. Franklin Field is like the Rosetta Stone of my life. There's a line in the movie Creed Sylvester Stallone is standing on the top steps of the Art Museum, and he says, you know, sometimes when you stand up here, you look out and you can see your whole life. I know what he's saying, because that's how I feel when I look out the window and I see Franklin Field.
Tommy McDonald, a spectacular touchdown.
I love what I did. God, I loved it. It's what I wanted to do from the time I was a kid. I wanted to write, and I wanted to write about football, and I wanted to write about the Eagles, and I really honestly feel that I appreciate it every single day that I lived. You gotta love what you do, and I think that's one of the things that I always had going for me, because I really did love what I did. I mean, life doesn't get any better than that.